Welcome to Deep River Farm, folks. I appreciate you joining me today. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about, bring you up to date on one of the relief centers up in Newland and let you know what's kind of going on there. I had talked to Amie the other night on the phone, and she was telling me how much work and stuff her and her daughter Grace were doing at the relief center, and kind of some of the things that they were having obstacles and things with on what was going on. And she said that we needed to make sure that everybody knew that the needs is listed on the registry for them up there. She told me that the donation had gotten a little slow, and then they picked up, and then they dropped off again, and they're having, it's kind of up and down. They're still needing a lot of stuff up there, folks. And she was telling me that they've got quite a few people that they're serving out of there. They're open Monday through Friday from 11 to 3 p.m. And she said they're serving or having about 150 people a week come through during that time to get basic food, commodities, propane, heaters, and things like that. And she said there's a lot of people now that the weather started breaking. They're needing to get building materials and things like that. And she said that's why the gift cards are so important. And I told her that we would, anything that come into the Central Global Methodist Church, we would try to directly send some of those up there to her to help them out at that relief center. And we sent quite a few up to the Bethel Church up in Flat Rock, and Brother Bud's been passing those out all up and down through the western North Carolina mountains. And she said that they were desperately needing stuff for building supplies. A lot of people lost all their tools and their ladders, hammers, power tools. People needing nails and screws and sheetrock and just all kinds of things. So we told her we would try to help get some gift cards to her location. So folks, in the description, we're going to be putting the information for this particular relief center, as well as the helping hands where you can send in gift cards or anything, and all of that. Now, I have met Amie and her husband, who is the pastor of the Christ Baptist Church up there, and tell you a little bit of background on that. He's been the pastor of that church for 21 years, and several years ago, the church burned down, and they went for a while looking for a place to relocate to, and they found this location, and they were there in that location for several years and done quite a bit of work to the facility and everything. And then the hurricane hit, and the church was flooded, and same story as everybody else. Insurance don't pay. Flood insurance, they didn't have that on the building, and whoever heard of a flood in the mountains, right? So insurance companies, they gladly take your premiums, and then when it's time to pay out, they don't want to do that. They're going to find every excuse in the world not to. But that's exactly what's happened in this case. So they were in extensive, look to try to find another location to meet. And they wound up meeting up at the facility that somebody owned there, it called Ledford Glass Company. So they were meeting there. That's the same location the church was using as the relief center. But that facility also received a lot of flood damage and everything. And they was trying to run a relief center out of there, and they've been trying to look for land to try to relocate the church on. And with all the flooding and all of the new flood zones that Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha has created through the mitigation and elevation has basically made the prices of the land so expensive of what is not in the floodplains anymore that that small a congregation just could not afford to try to purchase a piece of land. I had been hearing some of the land was running anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 an acre in some of the mountain areas, and with their small congregation, she said they just couldn't afford it. They've not been able to even find a location to rent, to meet in, so they just decided just this past week that they were going to close the doors of the church. However, they're still going to continue to operate the relief center. And her and her husband just felt like they needed to keep that open to help the people of the community and at least have some sort of a ministry there available that they could use to be a witness to the community. So Pastor Bill and his wife Amie and their daughter Grace are continuing to run the relief center. And like I said, it's open Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Their biggest need still is propane. Even though it's warming up, propane's still a big need. It's still cold in the mountains at night. Early in the mornings it's still rather cold. And that's the big need, that and heaters. And as the weather changes, so will the needs, as like we talked about the building materials. And a lot of clothing needs will change as well. And I don't know if we'll be involved heavily in that or not yet. We're waiting to see for summer clothing, but we're just kind of standing by for that. But they did close the doors of the church after 21 years, and they are still continuing though to operate this relief center. She said, I asked her a question. I said, how's things moving along in your area? Because I've only been up there twice and delivered propane and a lot of stuff to them. And she said that in the last few weeks, they starting to see a lot of stuff get done. She said they were starting to get the trees cleaned up and the debris cleaned up on the sides of the road. They're pulling trees and things out of the river, and the side roads are getting cleaned up. She said there's road work taking place. There's people looking around at bridges and evaluating different roads and bridges up there. So things are moving as far as infrastructural. They are moving. I asked her about contractors. I said, how fast is stuff coming through, people being able to repair their homes? And she said, there's a huge shortage of contractors available to do work. And she said, there's more people needing work than they got contractors for. She said, I asked her too, I said, what are you seeing as far as people, what are they living in? Are you seeing any tents in your area? She said she had not seen any tents in the area. She said she felt like most of the people that were in tents are now in campers, and they're in the campers and they're using the stuff they need in the campers. The sleeping bags and propane and things like that, and migrated away from the tents. And thankfully so, because it's so cold up in the mountains in the winter. So I asked her about the insurance companies, and she said no insurance company is paying for any home repairs unless a tree fell through the house. She said everybody else that had mudslides, flooding, anything like that, they're not paying nothing. So majority of that has happened. I asked her about if any of the people in her area had seen anybody from Foxtrot Echo Mike Alpha, and she said no. She said there was a few people got that $750, but the majority of the people that she knew of, they were turned down and rejected, like 99% of the other people. And let's see, what else was she said? She said they had a foot of water in the relief center there, and most of the outlets and stuff in that facility do not work. They were running off of one drop cord in the relief center, and the person that actually owns that building is trying to make them pay for all of the electrical repairs and stuff like that. Ain't that something? The landlord won't even fix the building, but they expect that rent to come in for that. Ain't that something? She told me that the biggest needs there right now are propane, paper products, tools, chainsaws, your basic commodities, toothpaste, soap, that kind of stuff, hammers, wheelbarrows. She said there's been a big need for pet food. That's been a big need. She said a lot of people's come in needing cell phone chargers and things, and that's probably because they're powered off of generators and things like that, and when they don't have enough power, they're burning them blocks up and things like that. I asked her, since they have gotten a lot of people out of the hotels and things, was she seeing a lot of new faces? And she said they are seeing a lot of new faces come in, and there's a lot more people using the relief centers that are in the campers now, and that have moved out of the hotels and temporary housing because all that ran out. And I asked her how long they plan on continuing to run the relief centers, and she said their plan is to continue moving on and continuing to stay open. She said, I asked her about the job situation up there. She said there's still people with no jobs. Their jobs got washed away. She said they only have one choice for food and things, and that's at a Walmart. She said the grocery store was flooded, and they had no plans to rebuild that Ingalls up there. And she said that that facility that employed a bunch of people because it was a distribution site as well. She said there was approximately 10 businesses in Spruce Pine on the lower street. That's the name of it, Lower Street, in Spruce Pine. None of those businesses are open. She said there's several others in Avery County in the same situation. The businesses ain't open, so there's no employment for people around there. There's really no manufacturing or anything like that's done up there. And I asked her about what they thought about the people that was still on their land. The land might be in the new floodplain, flood zones and things like that, but they might have an outbuilding or something still standing. And she said right now the people are fighting against the property taxes. They're trying to make them pay property taxes on stuff that don't exist, that's not able to be lived in. And the insurance companies won't pay to take the structures down, and they're still paying mortgages on them. And this thing, and she said that the feeling up there are people being strung along to drive the people into bankruptcy so that it can be taken. And she said for the lithium. So there you go, folks. Is the whole thing behind this just to get an opportunity to mine that rich, almost perfect lithium up there for these chips? And she said that that was what everybody was thinking, because that land up through there, from Asheville up through there, was loaded with it, and it's very lucrative if it can be mined. And people are refusing to leave their land because of this, and they're just not gonna put up with it. She did say that they was needing 3 generators, and she said they had to be real careful on how they handed stuff out. They were basically vetting people because they didn't want this stuff being sold on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. So she was very gracious in returning my phone call and giving me this information. And she said for you folks to keep them in your prayers up there in the location of the Relief Center here that Christ Baptist Church has set up, and they continue to run it, although they have no location that they can go to now to meet, and they've decided as a congregation to just close the doors, but they're going to continue to run the Relief Center for the community. So I asked her where they were going to go, and she said that they were just going to try to go to some of the other area churches and blend into that congregation and not try to rebuild. They got burned out and flooded out, and it pretty much cleaned them out as far as financially for the church, and they just couldn't find anywhere else to go, and they just didn't have the funds and finances to be able to pursue something and be able to buy a big piece of property to put a church on. I appreciate you joining me today. Folks, if you can help this Relief Center, I'm going to leave all that information in the description column under there, as well as the helping hands, and you can get gift cards to Central Global, and we can get them up to this location there just outside of Spruce Pine. So folks, I appreciate you joining me, and keep Pastor Bill, his wife Amie, and their daughter Grace in your prayers as they continue to operate this much needed relief center up there. Appreciate you joining me today here on Deep River Farm. Y'all have a blessed day.